Okay. So here we are, live. Welcome. I and Yannicka this morning will be leading our discussion. I've done a lot of research on the Bāhiya Sutta. It appears in the Udana and also
The backstories in the Apadana.
and the backstories in the Apadana, the dramatic backstory, but we won't get into the backstory
Yeah, you can
this
look at
time.
you can look at a previous recording we did about a year ago if you want the backstory.
Yeah.
So it will cover just how he gets to that he's got to the Buddha. Should we Namo Tassa?
Certainly. Together. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Oh, so I'm gonna pin this one.
Yes.
Okay.
There we go. And shall we share the document?
Okay, if I can find it. There. There we go. Whoopsie.
Yep,
There it
that's
is.
it.
Whoopsie, now I'm on the wrong screen, it seems to be.
Yeah, you're exactly where you need to be.
Oh, am I?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So as Subhajana said, I've done a lot of research on this sutta and associated suttas. We will cover a tiny bit of that today. The summary of this sutta is right there at the top. There's no me here, nor there, nor in between. If you remember from last week, we did the Malunkyaputta Sutta, and we mentioned that the same teaching was in the Bāhiya Sutta. So we will see it again and in some more detail.
Yeah, Malunkyaputta went into a more extended explanation of this teaching in brief, which the Buddha approved of, but we're delving into the teaching in brief.
Right, right.
Or I and Yannicka has delved.
Yeah, I think you've done some delving too, most certainly.
So
At the beginning of the sutta, rather than reading the full sutta, I've done a summary here.
So I'm scrolling.
Yeah. The basis behind the theme today is conceiving is the word a lot of the translators use, conceiving a me or a mine. I liked this term from the Nibbana sermons, I imaginings and me thinkings. And that's a nice one that you can kind of take away with you of, am I me thinking right now? And see if there's any tension when you're me thinking, inserting a me or an I into the experience of seeing, hearing, sensing, or cognizing. So let's look at the summary. The Buddha was staying near Savatthi in Jeta's Grove, Anathapindika's monastery. Bāhiya of the bark cloth was residing by Suparaka on the ocean shore. Bāhiya thought he was an arahant, but a deva said, Bāhiya, you're not a perfected one, nor on the path to perfection. You don't have the practice by which you might become perfected one, or one on the path to perfection.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Whose translation is this?
This right now is a summary, so it's based on Bhante Sujato's, Bhante Sudaso's, and Jnana, the one
Ananda Jyoti's? No?
could be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
you
this summary is really a conglomerate. So it's
okay. All
in
right.
some sense you could say it's my own borrowed
All
liberally.
right. Very good.
Good question.
Very good.
Yes, and this, you don't have the practice by which to become a perfected one could mean many things. I was listening to Ajahn Brahm, and he said, it's very likely that Bāhiya in this lifetime and others had a lot of meditation attainment. It's quite likely he had some psychic powers. So take heart, even though Bāhiya is the fastest to achieve arahantship from the hearing of a text in brief. He has a lot of backing behind it. But the reason that it maybe is not a practice leading to perfection is that he doesn't have the Four Noble Truths behind it. Although he quickly, realizes that when he hears the teaching. Bāhiya replied, then who exactly are those in the world who are perfected or on the path to pure perfection? And the Deva named the Buddha and where he could be found. So Bāhiya left Suparaka right away and without any days off traveled until reaching Anathapindika's monastery. So that's a very brief summary of what we covered longer the last time we did this sutta, about how he got to the Buddha.
And can we highlight this part that this is Bande Sujato, I think, that said,
Without any days off. Yes,
and any days off. There were
one.
some that Sana did other translations that he did a tremendous feat of traveling in a very
in one day.
in one night, a day and night, and so that's why some people thought he had psychic powers.
Mhm. Upon arriving, he asked to see the Buddha, but was told that the Buddha was on alms round in Savatthi. Then Bāhiya rushed out of Jeta's grove and entered Savatthi. Now, rushed again, I think, is Bhante Sujato's translation. And others say, well, he was realized enough. He probably wasn't rushing anywhere, but he was probably interested.
Quite directly.
He went directly, might
Yeah.
the implications of rushed probably are not appropriate. Where he saw the Buddha walking for alms. He was impressive. We're talking about the Buddha here. He was impressive and inspiring, with peaceful faculties in mind, attained to the highest self-control and serenity, like an elephant with tamed, guarded, and controlled faculties. Do you want to say something on that?
Yeah, I had highlighted that last week because we were talking about Indriya Samvara, and that the Buddha is just an example of the beauty of the Indriya Samvara. It's often translated as restraint of the faculties, but it's to one. It was Sayadaw Ujagara emphasized it was protecting the mind. We're protecting the mind from how we assault ourselves with the senses by grasping or aversion when we have contact at the sense doors. But the Buddha was impressive and inspiring because he was so well contained and so he had peaceful faculties and mind, and to attain to the highest self-control. And it's not like self-oppression or something like that. I mean, it's just it's freedom, actually. So there's this highest self-control and serenity, like an elephant well tamed. Somebody told me the story of seeing the Buddha. The Buddha relic was in a some kind of container that was strapped onto an elephant that was tamed and trained to kind of, well, to carry the relic through on tour through Sri Lanka, so people in Sri Lanka could see the Buddha's tooth relic. But it was up in a, they knew it was up in some kind of a reliquary that was safely strapped to elephant's back, and the elephant was just amazingly gracefully walking. You think, like the big lumbering thing, but it was just so amazingly graceful. Can I tell the story?
Please.
And somebody who had seen it, they were just really impressed. And suddenly the elephant stopped in its tracks. And the elephant tamer couldn't figure out what was going on. Why did the elephant stop? And he looked around, were there snakes in it? Looked around. And the elephant just stood still, waited patiently. And then the trainer saw that one of the straps was loose. And the elephant didn't want to move and have his precious cargo shaking. So he tightened the strap, and then the elephant went. But there was also this sense of just grace and beauty with this elephant. So this naga, there's also the Pali word is naga, which is can be a celestial type of being, or it can be an elephant or a large snake, but they were considered powerful beings, and they were respected.
It was an epithet for the Buddha as well.
Yeah,
So
so
they often compared to him to a bull elephant or
yeah,
one of these supreme beings. All right, should I go?
certainly. Should I scroll up?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's about the sense faculties, and to tame and train our sense faculties.
Bāhiya went up to the Buddha, bowed down with his head at the Buddha's feet, and said, Sir, let the Blessed One teach me the Dhamma. Let the Holy One teach me the Dhamma. That would be for my lasting welfare and happiness. And the Buddha said this, it's not time, Bāhiya, so long as I have entered an inhabited area for alms food. And so he asked a second time and then a third, and at which point the Buddha replied with a brief teaching. So this
Bhante Sudasta.
yes, this is Bhante Sudaso's translation.
Ah,
Teach me the Dhamma, Bhante, Blessed One. Teach me the Dhamma, Sublime One, for the sake of my long-term benefit and happiness. Therefore, Bāhiya, this is how you are to train yourself. In the seen, there will be just the seen. In the heard, there will be just the heard. In the sensed, there will be just the sensed. In the cognized, there will be just the cognized. This, Bāhiya, is how you are to train yourself. Bāhiya, when it is like this for you, in the seen, there is just the seen. In the heard, there is just the heard. In the sensed, there is just the sensed. In the cognized, there is just the cognized. Then, Bāhiya, there will be no you in terms of this. When there is no you in terms of this, then there is no you there. When there is no you there, there is no you here, or beyond, or in between. Just this is the end of suffering.
what is the Pali word for you? Do you have that? It just occurred to me.
That
Tuam,
Twang.
tuam.
Yeah.
Okay, I did see that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then, while the Blessed One was teaching this brief Dhamma teaching to Bāhiya, Bāhiya's mind was liberated from the corruptions by means of non-attachment.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. This is sudden awakening. He had the double experience of actually seeing an awakened being, the Buddha,
And then waking up.
and then hearing a teaching that was, since it's understood, or people believe that the Buddha could know people's minds and then know exactly what they needed to hear, what teaching they needed. So most of us will read this and say, oh, that's wonderful, but what does it mean?
Yeah, and how do I practice with that? So that's what we'll get into. We'll do a little bit of the Pali here with Bhikkhu Sujato's translation.
Okay. All right. I did look at this.
When you have trained in this way, you won't be by that, to tvang Bāhiya Natena. So it's speaking to Bāhiya, but because they just repeat the word Bāhiya in each sentence, it's left out of the translation. You won't be by that. That's Natena, and we'll get to the Pali there. When you're not by that, Yato tvang Bāhiya Natena, you won't be in that. Tato tvang Bāhiya Natata. It's the Natata is in that. When you're not in that, you won't be in this world or the world beyond or between the two. Just this is the end of suffering. A savanto dukkasati. So the words scroll just a little bit to the Tena.
Oops. Okay.
That's all right. We got
All right. I'm still looking at the twam.
yeah.
It's both subject and object.
Because it's speaking to, but he's speaking about you, the idea of you. So it's kind of interesting.
But yeah, it's just like English. In English, it's both subject and object can be.
Yep.
Yeah.
And this sutta is interesting to really parse the grammar on. I'm not going to go a lot into that detail, but we could do yet another one some other time on just the nuances of the grammar. Here, the tena at the bottom, you see tena and tata. Those are the two key words that are explored there. Tena is thereby, because of that, on account of it, literally by that or with that. So do we have a sense of ego or identity coming up because of the sentence we're constructing in our mind, or the way we're attending with the senses, my senses, and what I see is mine. That cup that Ayasuvijana was using as an example is, the, is, that contact with, and then it's my cup. Because of the cup being in my hand, it's my cup. That could be an example of because of that, the tena. And then the tata.
And because of this cup, I have very good taste in cups.
Yes, and that would be the going on to the proliferation about self and about relations and about, it can go on and on and on and on easily. Tata is in that regard, in that case, regarding that matter. And that Ayasubhajana just gave an example of that.
Should we go full or you're just talking?
I'm just talking.
Okay.
Yeah. So the example of, and because it's mine, I have such good taste in this. And, in that case, in regard to that, and it's very natural. I mean, this is our conditioning. So that's what the Buddha is calling out, is this is just conditioning. There's not a you in there. And Bāhiya got it. All right. So I pulled the next bit from Nyananda.
Nyananda.
Yes, and yet another one of the
Nyananda.
bhikkhus that.
Starting with the Enya is kind
Yep.
of challenging.
So he gives an explanation in this paper. It explains the implication of this instruction as follows. The basic principle in this training seems to be the disciple
Discipline.
Thank you. The discipline to stop short at bare awareness. The latter half of the discourse seems to indicate what happens when one gets through that training. What is meant by the term natena is the attitude of not thinking in terms of whatever is seen, heard, and sensed or cognized. That is to say, not imagining thereby. Thereby, I am this, or I am in regard to this. This in turn leads to non-identification expressed by natata, not in it or not therein. At whatever moment you neither imagine by the scene nor entertain the notion of being in the scene. And I like to think of that being in the scene both as a pun.
That occurred to me too.
Yeah. In the scene, which is tantamount to projecting. That's why I think of it as in the scene. An I into the scene. Then you are neither here nor there nor in between. In the Nibbana sermons, there's a wonderful example of going to the cinema. And when you go to the cinema and you're immersed in the scene, both words there, scene and the scene on the screen, it's as if there's a you in there, and you're feeling it in your body and you're a part of it. But if someone were to turn the lights on in the cinema hall, you'd see that, washed out on the screen, and you'd see the light flickering through the air, and you'd be very aware of being the seer, of awareness itself. When I was a layperson, not too long before I came to monastic life, Ajahn Punadamo had told us to, go to the movies and be aware throughout the movie that you were watching a movie. And I went to see The Hobbit. It's the last movie I ever saw in a theater. Um, and yes, it completely changes the movie going experience when you remain aware that you're watching a movie. I'm gonna say something.
Because I remember being aware that I was watching a movie before
Oh, sure.
when I was but maybe it's a different kind of awareness where I don't know. Just yeah, it's we're getting distracted by
In this
but
in the scene, there is the
the-
hare, the rabbit, the door.
there's a yeah, we have
Mhm.
the fortune to have a small patch of forest behind us so the wildlife comes down close by, especially because we put out grubs and things. But so yeah, so to be so absorbed into emotionally, people cry and
Mhm.
I mean you get attached to the certain characters on the screen and then you with like there's serial television shows and the series is stopped and the main character has died and it's just heartbreaking. I mean but this is our life too. This this cup gets broken and then it's heartbreak. It won't be, but um yeah, but we can things in our lives that we identify really strongly with
Mhm.
um yeah, this body
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
as
Yeah.
so
Well, yeah, this next little section that I took from Bhante Andalio's writing gets into that. So maybe I'll read that and then you can add some more.
okay, thank you. I
So Bhante Andalio says, and remember, this is going back to the Malunkyaputta Sutta that we did last week, and that the pith, the core teaching in both those suttas is the same, which is how we got to the Bāhiya Sutta today. The detailed exposition given by Malunkyaputta of the implications of the brief instruction he had received point directly to mindfulness. The crucial contrast is between mindfulness being either established or else lost. If mindfulness is lost, the danger is that one gives attention to the pleasing characteristics of what is seen, etc., and becomes attached and clings. My body. The mind then becomes disturbed, one accumulates dukkha, and remains far from nirvana. This can be avoided if one is mindful. Did you want to further comment on that part? Or?
I guess I already did the dramatic thing with the cup.
All right.
The cup is already broken. Ajahn Chah says this.
Yes.
I believe him.
Yes. So here's another example in the suttas, also in the Udana, the Loka Sutta, which is a wonderful sutta that I don't know if we've done, maybe could do that one another time. I think, and no, I have definitely done it. Anyway, here we are. This world born in torment, overcome by contact, speaks of disease as the self. For whatever it thinks it is, it turns out to be something else. Yena yena hi manyata ti tatotang hoti anyata. And that's another really valuable phrase to use throughout the day of whatever I think it is, it's something else. Now, because we're always looking at experience through our lens, through our labeling system. It's never the pure seeing of the sutta as long as we have this ego in the way. And then I highlighted the disease as the self, overcome by contact, speaks of disease as the self. Do you want to?
Roga.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I take this also to be as simple as the hindrances. You know, that the hindrances are like a disease to our capacity to be aware in this simple bare attention way that is being called for in the sutta. And so if you notice the hindrances are present, then there's a disease of self as self right there, and you can tangibly feel it. I think people would be easy to come up with examples in your life about that.
It seems like it would be good too to talk about the sati, the
Please.
mindfulness, and that part of this disease is this just not being present. And then there is also mindful, the samasati, this awareness is connected to wisdom, the samaditi. So that so the disease is, this is a dukkha. And the self is dukkha. And some of this awareness is to see that really clearly and see, and it's like most people can't just leap to I mean, you can mechanically go through and be, like not having thought and mechanically go through your day doing things, but if you're not doing it with wisdom, it's better to see the defilements arising while you're like, if I'm reaching for the cup and wanting, that's, I see there's just a little bit left in it, and then I'm wanting more, and I'm seeing the greed arise, and or seeing whatever defilements are arising clearly. This is part of that awareness, and part of that how we're constructing the self and all this. We have to, it doesn't happen like Bāhiya, it happened pretty instantly. But there's many people believe that he had spent lifetimes, or whatever he was doing prior to meeting the Buddha too. Some of what he was doing may have also helped him.
Yeah, it conditioned his mind to be receptive. And what the Deva who called him out on it was saying was, you're missing that key nugget of the Dhamma that will help you open your eyes. And so he went and found it. This line also says, overcome by contact. And that to me is saying a lack of mindfulness, which is, what we were seeing in the previous section. As without the mindfulness in the contact, that's when we easily are overrun. Yeah, I think that comes up in this next quote here in the Nibbana sermon. the forms of imaginings, imaginings, or me thinkings, the Buddha compared to an extremely subtle bondage of Mara. All kinds of thoughts concerning existence that stem from this subtle conceit, asmimana, are mere imaginings or me thinkings, and that they are called a bondage of Mara, and that because they have the power to keep beings shackled to existence.
Is it conceit am? Like I am.
Yeah,
It's I am. It
yeah.
could be I
Yeah.
asmi mana.
I'll add it, but yeah, that's a
Yeah, I am is
yeah. I think he's trying to say, it's
well, he's probably
it's about
referred to the I am.
yeah,
And now it's the am,
yeah.
which is being
Yes, that's exactly it.
and
And becoming.
becoming.
It's the asmimana. So it is a personal identification.
That's it's usually translated the conceit of I am, asmi mana.
Yeah. So this is he originally gave these sermons in Sinhala, and then he rewrote them into English. And I've heard even from people from Sri Lanka that they're really glad that he translated them into English because they were able to finally understand it better, because his Sinhala was so
Highly educated.
that many people couldn't track what he was saying, and so they got more out of it when it was translated to English. This was a really powerful monk.
It's still difficult for me.
Yeah, even the English.
Even the English.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, I've spent multiple winter retreats, taking the sermons, one sermon a week, listening to it multiple times, reading it multiple times, sitting on the cushion with it multiple times. And still I could do that again and again and again and get more out of it. All right. So this one is another sutta I want to tie in. And it also is coming from the Nibbana sermons. This one's number 12. And this is tying the concept into another sutta that's considered quite deep and difficult.
And some teachers say, skip over this one, don't worry about it.
Yep. Or read the
read it later.
The rest of the Majjhima Nikaya and then come back and read the first one.
Yeah.
It's that kind of daunting. But I think we're up for it. So I'm only gonna pull an extract here, and an explanation. So the explanation for it, from the Nibbana Sermon 12, the Mula Pariyaya Sutta, Majjhima Nikaya number 1, is extremely important for its relevance to the question of perception. Now, what is the basic theme of this discourse? There's a certain pattern in the way objects occur to the mind and are perceived. The discourse lays bare the elementary pattern. The Buddha opens this discourse with the declaration, "Monks, I shall preach to you the basic pattern of behavior of all mind objects."
Whose translation is that?
This is the author of the Nibbana sermons, Jnana.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I did not sleep much last night.
All right. That's all right.
Yeah.
Jnanananda.
I think
Jnanananda.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not positive.
Okay, so that's his translation.
Yes.
Okay, very good.
In a nutshell, the discourse deals with 24 concepts representative of concepts in the world. These are fitted into a scheme to illustrate the attitude of 4 types of persons toward them. And the 4 types are the patujana, the uninstructed worldling, the seka, the one who has entered the stream or is in training. The third is the arahant, and the fourth is the Buddha, or Tathagata. And so the different ways that, and you can kind of guess that the uninstructed worldling is the one who's stuck with this me, my thinking. I'm not going to read all of it. The 24 concepts mentioned in the sutta are and then earth, water, fire, a bunch air, a bunch of different deva realms. But then you can see in different realms, infinite consciousness, space, nothingness. And then you see the seen, the heard, the sensed, the cognized. And so within this set of what makes up the world, there are these things we have contact with: the seen, the heard, the sensed, the cognized. Um, and so I took just the excerpt here using the word earth, but you can substitute in the seen or the heard or the sensed or the cognized. And it gets down to the fundamental question of conceiving. And I really like the word conceiving for what we're doing with our minds as we're engaging with the world.
But that's when you look at this,
Yeah.
does not, okay, you explain.
Uh,
This is your.
oh, yeah, but I
I hope.
I deeply appreciate your input.
Okay,
I'll read the translation
okay,
here
okay,
from the
go ahead.
Buddha
I'm jumping ahead.
and then jump in.
Okay,
So he directly knows earth, or the seen as the seen. Having directly known earth as earth, he does not conceive himself as earth. So is not attached to the hardness, the softness. He does not conceive himself in earth. He does not conceive himself apart from earth. He does not conceive earth to be mine. He does not delight in earth. Why is that? Because he's fully understood it, I say. And this is really getting at an understanding of voidness or emptiness.
this would be the arahant. We're jumping to the
Yes,
arahant
yes, yes.
because, and okay, I'll let you go because you've prepared this.
So we're looking at it at the highest level. Why don't you go ahead and talk and I'll pull up the sutta itself?
Well, I'm
Um,
just, because there's that pattern. I
Yeah.
think this is what you're coming to with the, if you've read these suttas separately and you don't really see the connection
mhm,
with when he's talking, when the Lord Buddha is talking to the Bāhiya, it's just this part, um, um, you will not see, you will not be in that, you will not be, yeah, just consider in it, does not consider them apart from it. I mean, this is very similar to that whole concept of our relationship to these things. And this whole thing about conceive it to be mine and do not delight in it because you fully understand it. In the seen and the heard and the sensed and the cognized, it's not completely the same, but it's got that same sense to it. And this is having to do with physical form, like I was saying. So and another thing to understand about these elements, starting with the earth, is that they believe them to be like
Oh, yeah.
deities, like forces, like we think of the forces of nature,
Mhm.
and they saw it as more animated.
Mother Earth, Father Sky,
The fire was like
uh-huh,
a deity, a being.
Mhm.
Yeah, so this is all how they were constructing a self.
Yeah, I did not put the uninstructed reading, but I've got it here. I'll just read it out without
Okay,
turning. Having perceived earth as earth, they do conceive it to be earth, and they conceive it in earth. They conceive it as earth. They conceive the earth is mine. They approve earth. So it's not just about the internals, it's also our relation. And Bhante Sujata's comment on that was to conceive or imagine, that's the manyati, is according to the commentary to think in terms of a self, proliferating experience through craving, conceit, or views until it is constructed for me. You know, I had one teacher at one point in my practice say, "You have a theme song, don't you? Me, 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 me." And yeah, that woke me up a little bit. Like,
I
oh,
think most of us do
oh
in
yeah,
some way or another. Some are just more subtle and some are more blatant.
yep.
But yeah, so there's all these permutations of how we construct a self.
And what's happening is we're construing that progression of perception more and more refined and objectified. So it's becoming very much subject, object, subject, object. And with that separation, then you aren't understanding the emptiness, the void aspect of reality. All right, are we okay on time to keep
No,
we're ready
good.
to go back into the sutta. Should we do that?
Sure.
Okay. And when the Buddha had given Bāhiya this brief advice, he left. But soon after the Buddha had left, a cow with a baby calf charged at Bāhiya and took his life. This is Bhante Sujata's. Then the Buddha wandered for alms in Savatthi. After the meal, on his return from alms round, he exited the city together with several mendicants and saw that Bāhiya had passed away. He said to the monks, "Mendicants, pick up Bāhiya's corpse." Having lifted it onto a cot and carried it, cremate it, and build a monument. Mendicants, one of your spiritual companions has passed away. Yes, sir, replied those mendicants. They did as the Buddha asked, then returned to the Buddha and said, "Sir, Bāhiya's corpse has been cremated and a monument built for him. Where has he been reborn in his next life?" Mendicants, Bāhiya was astute. He practiced in line with the teaching and did not trouble me about the teachings. Bāhiya of the bark cloth has become fully quenched. Then, understanding this matter, on that occasion the Buddha expressed this heartfelt sentiment. Where water and earth, fire and air have no footing, there no star does shine, nor does the sun shed its light. There the moon glows not, yet no darkness is found. And when a sage, a Brahmin, finds understanding through their own sagacity, their own being a sage, then from forms and formless, from pleasure and pain, they are released. This too is a heartfelt saying that was spoken by the Blessed One. That is what I heard.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So here we have the water and earth, fire and air. So that's relating to that the Mula Pariyaya Sutta as well.
Yeah,
I mean, it's kind of
it's pointing at this poem is the synopsis of that sutta, I think, pointing towards the emptiness. It's amazing the way these all tie together, and we are in really the deep end today. It's so inspiring. I hope others also feel something out of it. If you need just a, a single takeaway, it's scroll back up to the top, the I imaginings and me thinkings.
it's somewhere along the way here.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
That just to notice, where am I inserting me into this where it doesn't need to be? What if I drop the me and see what it feels like? I have found it feels a lot freer, a lot freer. So, do you have some last comments, or should we open it up?
Oh, we could we could close the screen share.
Yeah.
And if anyone has a comment or a question, they can. Okay, Dana. Oops, Dana went
I
by
think, I think she accidentally hit the,
wrong button.
the bye-bye key. Well, she achieved emptiness. Yay!
Uh, maybe she'll come back on. Yes. So thank you so much for preparing that. This is a work of love and long progress, it seems like.
Oh, definitely. I think I might have mentioned last time that I walk that I one winter retreat I was just doing walking meditation and just repeating over and over and over in the scene, just the scene, in the heard, just the heard, in the sense, just the sensed, in the cognized, just the cognized. There is no me by it, there is no me in it, there is no me here nor there nor in between. This is the end of suffering. And I was doing that because I was really stirred up. I had just had a lot of emotional and, just working with distress during that particular retreat. And so this teaching was really grounding for me to see, where am I doing the second arrow? Where am I identifying with? Where am I clinging? Where am I? So that was a really powerful practice, just to repeat the core teaching. Dana, welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back, Dana. Yes, please.
Oh, um, I really like, sorry, somehow I disconnect.
That's okay.
At the start, you talked about that highest self-control equals freedom. And that really struck with me as, so valuable. A lot of people say, well, what are you doing all of this for? And I have so many reasons, but really that's such a core freedom from, all of suffering. And for me, that could be physical pain, but more often than not, it's suffering that I've created with my own imaginings or putting myself into a scene. So uh, that was real exciting to hear and think about. I like I had the thoughts of drop the me, look at where am I inserting myself, and I think that's what I'll pull forward. Remember, I take one thing for a week because if I take more than that, I get lost. Where am I inserting myself? That's something great to ponder. It's not threatening. Um, but it will be very revealing.
Yeah, um I think the two go together, there's because there's the self-clinging and the or wanting to satisfy the self, and then
Yes.
there's this in the one of the teachings is they said that the world is a slave to craving.
Yes.
And so if we're following our impulses,
Yes.
we're not free. And so with this Indriya Samvara, there is that freedom. And the reason why uh, it's difficult to control it's like because of the sense of self wanting and needing and being repulsed by and all this kind of stuff, that we're kind of driven. I see it driven by these impulses. So it's not a freedom.
Right.
So seeing the self in there, that this is mine, or I want it, or yeah, those kind of things arising. You can think of it in terms of defilement or the eye trying to please itself or avoid discomfort.
Yeah, and at least for me, it's so strong. Um, it it amazes me. You know, I'll have a revelation, forget it because my mind wants to forget it because it wants to be all important in everything, blah, 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 blah. And then I back up and I go, wait a minute, didn't we just deal with this?
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah,
there's there's a knowing. There's that knowing though. You
yes,
have that
yes,
recognition. You see it, and a lot of people are just um
yes.
they're not aware of it, or they don't think it's a problem. The
No,
problem is that I'm not getting what I want.
right,
That's
right.
the problem. Things are
Yeah,
being things aren't the way I want them to be. That's the
yeah,
problem. No, they
yeah.
don't. So they're convinced of that, and so that sense of self, that I, is just very strong. But the we all of us just have to start out. Most of us have to start out. We're just seeing that self,
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
trying to preserve itself, trying to
Yes,
create itself, trying to yeah, al-
blossom.
right,
Yes.
always trying to construct this self, this sense of self. And it's such hard work. we
Well,
we don't realize we're
yes,
that's the suffering, is a constant trying to shore up
yes. And
some idea of a self.
yeah, um, my self-deception is very creative, very creative. I just laugh when I look back and all the things my mind did to protect itself, which it really actually kind of so silly, but so wonderful that I've seen what I've done in the past. It helps me identify what my mind is doing now to fool me back into, oh, Dana. Yeah, yeah.
And I think that when you do have the insight that you're talking about, it's much easier for that humor to arise.
Yes,
And we have to realize that even with insight, our habits still have momentum.
yes, yes. Let me
And
write that down.
so with the habits having momentum, you may still see yourself starting a behavior that isn't in alignment with your understanding.
Mhm.
And if you have the mindfulness, then you'll quench it right there. If mindfulness is not strong enough and
Mhm.
the insight deep enough, at least you will have the awareness of the experience. You won't be totally fooled into thinking you're on the movie screen, or another analogy, that you're in the dream.
Or how can I tweak this movie screen to make it even better?
Yeah,
Right, right.
you start to see it, and the fact that there's humor there is very good, because it's kind of, it's laughing at hey, I use, of course I'm a conditioned being, of
Yes, yes.
course that's what's coming up right now. um
Well, I think
and
you
I
can
stay on
laugh. Yes.
track.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's a way to be kind to yourself too. If
Yes,
you have
yes.
some amount of humor or compassion, like, oh, there I go again, dear me.
Compassion. Yes.
Yeah. So,
Uh,
Xyla, do you have something you'd like to add before we?
Hello.
Yes, please.
I'm sorry it's dark, but anyway. Um, yeah, what did I want to say? Well, two things that came to mind. One is, I don't know if you know Ute Janier's saying and book, don't look down on the defilements, they will laugh at you. So that just reminded me of that. um, and yeah, I can't remember exactly what what yeah, what I was thinking of, but yeah, remind me that. And then another thing was, I really like what you say about how things have a momentum of its own. And so even when we come to a realization, we see our suffering so clearly. And I think this is something that's very much present in my own practice at the moment. But I like recently working and trying to understand the five aggregates and cause and effect and all of these things, understanding that sankhara and the habit patterns of the mind are, they have a force of their own, but by by understanding that, you can work with it in skillful ways. So okay, then we understand, okay, so the habit pattern of our mind is still stronger than our 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 knowledge of our suffering. So that's the thing. So we use the habit pattern. Okay, so that just means, like you say, with mindfulness, every moment that we can catch ourselves, then we practice wholesome states of mind or letting go or wisdom or, all of these different contemplations. And that, by understanding that, it gave me a patience to my practice. It's like, okay, I can just step by step retrain my mind, recondition my mind, create good sankharas, slowly detach from them. No, it's not mine. But even if I'm not able to do everything, uh, it helped me get rid of my frustration and just be like, oh, okay, I'm just retraining now. I'm just reconditioning,
Mhm.
and this is cause and effect, and this will lead to that, and I can let go. These are natural processes. So that's something that I'm very grateful. It took me too long to understand that.
Well, we just have to be
And having
patient.
that
Yeah, go ahead.
having that relaxation also helps me with my mindfulness. So it has a lot of added benefits as well. It's like, because the impatience was a hindrance, obviously.
Yeah.
So I don't know, it's very interesting how all these different things come together. Yeah.
Yeah, and just the realization that any of the defilements that we see clearly, that it's going to take a while for them to
Yeah.
unravel. And like you were saying, it's just, I mean, for many of it's a long lifetime of habit
Mm.
patterns. So, but even no matter how long you've been doing on the path, it's until we're fully awakened, there's gonna, even the awakened ones, I guess even the arahants at the time of the Buddha, they're like certain speech patterns because of the way they were raised in society, and it was offensive to some of the other monks that this one monk was still sounding so distinguished and upper class, and he was using
Derogatory terms
yeah, so,
with no ill will in his heart. That was
yeah,
his habit of calling.
Mm.
And I think that for the goodness of sharing the Dhamma, it behooves us, even after insight and awakening, to continue to figure out and understand how to adjust those habits so that they are
Mm.
more beneficial. And I think that's something that, there are cases where you reach the enlightenment, and like in Bāhiya's case, he was done.
Mhm.
But if there's a wish to also share and be an example in the world, if we can continue to purify our behaviors externally. You mentioned suffering earlier on, and what's interesting is it tends to become just the first arrow suffering, the suffering of having a body or a behavior or a,
I don't know if everyone knows about not everybody who's gonna listen later knows what the first arrow, second arrow.
Oh, okay, so that is just the action, the actual circumstances that occurred that are painful.
Yeah, so the
Uh-huh.
first arrow is like if I stub my toe
Mhm.
and I break my toe and
And
it's painful.
and the
So that's
second arrow,
the second arrow would be getting
my
mad,
toe,
angry at myself,
whoever
woe
left the
is
thing.
me, and all this kind of,
Yeah.
this shouldn't be happening to me. That's the second arrow.
So
So
even the arahant, even the Tathagata, the Buddha, you know, when his heel was clipped, there was pain, but there,
but he said he was laying down. Mara was taunting him, why are you laying down in the middle of the day? And the Buddha said, out of compassion
yeah,
for others, I'm lying down.
yeah,
And having compassion for the world. So he was like, he was probably doing I mean, because he was feeling physical pain. He had the still had a physical body. He had compassion for those in the world that are still suffering.
Mm.
And so he didn't have the second arrow. He had compassion instead in his heart.
right,
Um,
yeah. So we continued to learn.
yeah.
And
So
to grow.
I always think of like training or taming an animal, and if you had a wild horse, and then you would approach the horse with a lot of kindness and try to get the horse's trust and give it, you know, encourage it to have some water and some food and and calm it down, and you wouldn't start.
That's the reconditioning. Yeah,
So you wouldn't start beating the horse and saying you must behave. You would have to gain the horse's trust and
be patient.
be patient with it. And yeah, so this is for ourselves to be kind and nurturing. That's what I meant to say.
Yes, all of the comments so beautiful and helpful and
Yeah,
right on track.
yeah, thank you both for sharing. So it is a little bit after the top
Yeah.
of the hour, so we can close with some homage to the triple gem.
Mhm.
And then we'll go off the live screen, and if you want to stay on, you can. Arahant Sama Sambuddho Bhagava Buddham Bhagavantam Abhivadi Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammam Namassami Supatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Sangham Namami. Okay,